We were talking Manchester United, weren't we? Christian Eriksen signing over the line finally. How much does that help your top four chances, would you say?
I think it helps because the midfield has been a problem for Manchester United for a number of seasons now. I know Danny Murphy has gone on record on talkSPORT and said he's underwhelmed by the signing. I don't go along with that. I think Eriksen is a class act. I think he's a class act on and off the pitch, and he improves that midfield. So on a free transfer, albeit there was a fairly significant signing on fee, as they understand it, and obviously the wages will be decent as well. I think it's a good addition. I think they need more. Obviously, Lisandro Martinez is close to signing as well, although I'm not expecting that to be formally announced until next week. But he has undergone his medical. Personal terms are agreed, £46 million there or thereabouts to Ajax. I think that strengthens United as well. He can play as a left-sided centre-back, he can play at left-back, or he can play in defensive midfield. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how Erik ten Hag wants to use him. But I think there's still 3 signings short of really being serious top 4 candidates. I would caveat that and say that part of Erik ten Hag's remit is to get the best out of underperforming players, and Anthony Martial, for one, has made an encouraging start on that front with goals in the first 2 pre-season games. I know Gabby would say you can't read anything.
How many times have you said that, though, about Martial? How many chances is he going to have?
No, I agree, and I was ready to jettison Martial, but I think Erik ten Hag has been told to try and find a way to utilise what is a mercurial talent. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think it's the application that has been missing in the last couple of seasons. So if he can get him back to his best, it's a cliche, but that will be like a new signing. Same for Marcus Rashford. I expect more from Jadon Sancho this season. Harry Maguire is a concern, but I think he's another player that Ten Hag has been told to try and coach back to form on the training ground. So it's going to be a test of his coaching ability. This is not just about signing players and chucking money at the problem. I think the United hierarchy feel there are players there who have underperformed, and if Erik ten Hag is as good a manager, as good a tactician, as good a training ground coach as we're told from our friends in Holland, then he will get those players performing.
Have they managed yet to force De Jong onto a plane for Manchester, or can't they get him out of his house in Barcelona?
He's on a plane. He's on a plane to America with Barcelona for their pre-season tour, which is not a great look for Manchester United. It has to be said. I think I blame Barcelona more for this than for United, because I struggle to believe that United would have spent the best part of 10 weeks chasing a player that had no intention of coming to Old Trafford. So I think the big stumbling block remains this £17 million deferred wages that he's still owed by Barcelona. I don't think Frenkie de Jong has any intention to go anywhere until that's been resolved.
Do you think he's excited by Manchester United, though, Alex? Truthfully, this Manchester United now, where they're at?
I think the club and the badge still hold an attraction. Maybe that's red-tinted spectacles, but they are still one of the biggest clubs in the world. I think he would be excited by the challenge. I think he knows Ten Hag, and that's key to it. Obviously, he's got that relationship with Donny van der Beek as well, which I think is the master plan by Ten Hag to try and get those 2 in tandem.
I shouldn't have asked you, Alex. You're a Man United fan. You're not telling the truth.
I see where you're coming from. Listen, we've seen it this summer already. Erling Haaland, United would love to have signed Erling Haaland. He was never going to choose United over City. Darwin Núñez, who actually hasn't looked great in pre-season, by the way, but will reserve judgment, he was on United's list. But again, as soon as Liverpool came calling, he was going to go there. So they're probably third choice in the Premier League at this moment in time, because players are going to choose City and Liverpool ahead of them. We've seen with Martinez, they've still got more pulling power than Arsenal, because Arsenal were in the hunt for him and he only wanted to go to Manchester United. So I think there's a fine line. Yes, they can't compete with City and Liverpool for players at the moment, but they can certainly compete with the likes of Arsenal and Tottenham and probably even Chelsea as well.
Let's talk Manchester City. John Stones, Phil Foden and Ilkay Gundogan not travelling with the first team to the US. What more do we know about that?
Well, City, I don't think have commented publicly on the reasons for their absence, but our friends at The Athletic have reported when it comes to Gundogan that he's only had a single jab, which in Germany they say makes him fully vaccinated, but it doesn't in the US. And the reason he hasn't had a second jab as yet is because he caught COVID, and the plan was to have a second jab this summer. So we will take their word for that. I'm sure they wouldn't have run that information, medical information, without being impeccably sourced. But I don't know the reason behind the absence of the other 2. We've seen it a lot, haven't we, this summer in terms of players having to sit outdoors because they haven't been fully vaccinated. And I do wonder if it puts off managers, if you're trying to sign a player and you find out that he hasn't been fully vaccinated, would it make you think twice about signing him? I don't know. We have to ask managers that, but it certainly adds a fascinating strand to the transfer window.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Bernardo Silva as well, linked with Barcelona. Zinchenko linked with Arsenal. They're selling more players. Both of those players are going out to the US. But why are they getting rid of more?
Well, I think Zinchenko will go to Arsenal. Arsenal seem pretty confident on reaching an agreement with City on that, and obviously he has a relationship with Mikel Arteta, much like Gabriel Jesus, so I can see that one being done. I did chase up the Bernardo Silva stories after Spanish press went quite strong on that yesterday, that George Mendes had agreed an £80 million fee. I've never heard an agent agree a fee before. Normally that's between two football clubs, and my sources at City did say that nothing doing there, and they have no intention of selling Bernardo Silva this summer. I think he's a player that Pep Guardiola wants to keep. He had an excellent season last year, having almost pushed for a move at the start of that campaign. So I think he will stay. I think they will do a bit of business. I think they're interested in Pau Torres maybe coming in as an extra left-sided defender. They're obviously keeping hold of Nathan Ake, which frustrated Chelsea, and they've got the two big signings they wanted this summer in Haaland and Calvin Phillips. But Mark Cucurella, I think, remains a target, and the fact that Brighton have sounded out Calvin Bassey, the left-sided defender at Rangers, suggests that maybe they're expecting a bid. They haven't had one as yet, as far as I understand it.